Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing you another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the DC Direct DC Essentials Rebirth Batman version 2. Now the DC Essentials line was kicked off with a Rebirth Batman, and this is a slightly redone version. Looks like he's painted differently, belt might be a little bit different. So let's go and check out the packaging here. As you can see, DC Essentials Rebirth Batman version 2. Here's Batman in the package, he has a Batarang. DC Direct from the source. This is the 23rd figure in the DC Essentials line. Got the DC logo up top. On this side, we've got Batman posed up. At the top, got the Batman logo. At the bottom, there is a bunch of credits and a barcode in case that helps anybody. And then on the back side, here are the rest of the figures in this wave. Got Batman, sort of a transparent Flash, New 52 Nightwing, and then Superman from the Return of Superman. So no further ado, let's open them up. And I did end up getting two of these figures, one of which to open and enjoy, the other one to keep unopened in my complete 6 and 7 inch Batman-related unopened action figure collection. And this guy was part of a huge lot of figures I got in the mail. Huge haul today. Just look at all that awesomeness. The place I pre-ordered most of these DC Collectibles figures from ended up falling through, so I tracked them down, and what are the odds they all came the same day? Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all of his accessories laid out. He does come with a lone Batarang. It may not be much, but at least it's something. Most of these DC Essentials figures comes with absolutely no accessories. So this is Batman from the Rebirth comics, and this is the second version of Rebirth Batman they've made. This guy looks to be a straight repaint off the first version, but we will check that out in depth later in the video. So this review has a special place in my heart, as this is the version 2 Rebirth Batman. The version 1 DC Essentials Rebirth Batman was my first YouTube review ever. I watched in preparation to this, and frankly, it was quite bad. So let's go and check out the figure. As you can see, his head here, he's got the short-eared cowl. He's in the black and gray outfit. Got the Rebirth Bat logo on his chest. His belt looks pretty decent. He's got double-jointed elbows, double-jointed knees. One thing pretty cool, the inside of his cape is done in a purple color, accurate to a lot of the Rebirth appearances. So overall, I'm liking this figure. Even though he is a repaint, it's not bad at all. And just like most of the other DC Essentials figures, his head and hands pop off with complete ease, and in turn his cape does as well. So if you wanted to mod him with a cloth cape, it really wouldn't be that difficult. Now, when the first DC Essentials figures came out, and I found out the hands and head pop off pretty easily, it led me to believe that they were originally going to include extra hands with them, but DC Direct ended up cheaping out. That may not be the case. These guys pretty much all share the same body with the DC Essentials figures, and maybe at least some of them were supposed to have interchangeable head and hands, and they just sort of were all easy to pop out. But either way, if you wanted to customize or change anything, you definitely have that option. So here's his Batarang, made of a pretty hard material. It's not really bendy at all. This will be the exact same Batarang that came with the Rebirth version 1 Batman, as well as the DC Essentials Batgirl. Here's this Batman holding and getting ready to throw his Batarang. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessory, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, sitting at about 7.0 inches tall, which is going to translate to a hair under 18 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation, and I'm personally quite pleased with the articulation formula on the DC Essentials figures. So starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. Can look up and down a very impressive amount, down that far and up that far. He can also sort of tilt his head from one side to the other, giving him a very wide range of motion and some personality in his head. Shoulders on a ball joint, think about less than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. The cape here does not really obstruct the articulation. You can still go all the way up. He's got a bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows below that. His wrists, it can rotate and it's hinged as well. He's got ab crunch in the middle here. Go forward and back. He's got a waist swivel below that, hidden very nicely. His legs on ball joints, they can completely do splits out this far. Forward that much, and back just a little bit. He's got a thigh cut below that. Double jointed knees below that. Then he's got his ball on his ankle. Can go forward, back, can rotate, and it can't really tilt and rock unless you rotate the ball and then get it positioned right. Then you can tilt and rock his feet as much as you want. Now let's check out the reuse. Like I said before, I believe this guy to be a straight repaint of the version 1 Rebirth Batman, and that looks to be accurate. I actually see absolutely no differences besides the paint job. Sculpting 100% the same. Here he is overlooking Gotham City, perched onto a gargoyle. Here he is driving McFarlane's Bat-Raptor. Fits on this thing perfect, and the fact that his head can look up so much works great. Here he is fighting the DC Essentials Deathstroke on a rooftop. Here's this Batman beating the deceased zombie Joker to a bloody pulp. I love using that Joker for just a bloodied, beat-up Joker. And then here he is on a rooftop in Gotham with the rest of the DC Essentials Bat Family characters from the Rebirth comics. Now let's check him out compared to some other action figures. Starting off with some other DC Essentials figures. Even though we already looked at this, here he is next to the Rebirth Batman version 1. And here he is next to all the different DC Collectibles or DC Direct, DC Essentials Batman figures. These guys all share the same body as a lot of the DC Essentials figures do. There is actually one other version of Batman upcoming. If it isn't canceled, it's in an upcoming 6-pack, and the belt is a little bit different. It's another Rebirth Batman. Here are all the different DC Essentials figures I have that use the same buck. The same torso, same arms, same legs for the most part between all these figures. And I'm certain that Flash, Reverse Flash, Green Lantern, and Superman also use the same body. Now, they use a lot of reuse in this line, and that's kind of annoying, but I still think these figures look pretty good. They move pretty good, and they're scaled up pretty nicely. 7 inches tall, they fit in with McFarlane decently. I was definitely one of the DC Essential supporters, and I hate to see this line go. These are all the DC Essentials figures that I have in my collection. Very nice line. I would say my favorite are going to be Nightfall Batman, Nightfall Catwoman, Cheetah, and Red Hood, although they all look very sharp. Now let's check them out, compared to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. I'll try to focus my comparisons with other Batman figures whenever possible. Here he is, next to some of his DC Direct and DC Collectibles brothers. In front of you are 5 different Batman figures, all from DC Direct, all 7-inch scale. And here he is with some DST, or Diamond Select toys. Then, here he is next to some McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman figures. That's one thing I love about these two lines. For the most part, DC Direct and DC Collectibles matches decent with McFarlane figures scale-wise. And here he is with some NECA Batman figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And here he is next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods Batman figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Batman figures. And here he is with some Mafex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is with some SH Figure Arts Batman figures. And finally, here he is next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a pretty decent Batman figure. It's a shame this is probably one of the last releases by DC Direct. If this was the articulation standard moving forward for all their figures, I would be ecstatic and thrilled. He doesn't really bring anything new to the table. He's simply a repaint for the previous Batman, but he's a good repaint at that. I have so many other repainted Batmans from different lines that are pointless and don't make any sense. This is a comic-accurate black and gray Rebirth Batman. If I were to rate this guy, I'd give him a solid 7 out of 10. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.